Okay.
Screaming out from the
Gotcha.
a wreath of flames surround myself. Edge of mortality.
Oh, wait. Yeah, everyone's mic is on, but we can hear you now too. Okay. Well, since everyone is on now, are we good to get started, or? Okay. Alright, then I'm gonna get this started. Oh. Okay, alright. Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to the Fan Battle Cast. I am the table, and this is our quite big round table for P versus Alice. Yeah.
Spoilers.
Okay, I think we were muted there, so that was my bad. Once again, hello everybody. We are here to debate P from Liza P versus Alice from American McGee's Alice. And I guess reintroduce yourselves, everyone.
Hello, I am Zorro, regular Fancast Battle member, and forever the guy making jokes during the stream.
You can just call me Archive. I am the person who is going to be discussing Liza P and debating for the puppet against Alice.
I am the Kagurabachi big Megaton SMT fan. Rido Remaster is out. Go play it. It's peak.
Introducing the one and only Stromboli. My name is Paul, and I like Disney's Pinocchio.
I think.
Yeah, and Rand, our debater, who is going to be doing Alice, is not here yet.
I'll just ramble for a few seconds just to discuss the point of this cast or this opening cast or whatever people want to discuss it. the other debater is simply going to be running a little bit late because that's just his life schedule. So we went like, hey, we just want to discuss a little bit about stories and kind of use the adaptation of Pinocchio into the game of Liza P. Uh, as sort of the basis to discuss how stories over time just evolve drastically. Because at first glance, if you look at Liza P. and, and then you think Pinocchio, which for most people, except for Paul, is like their immediate first thought for Pinocchio is going to be the Disney creation, which that came out in like the 1940s. I don't know the right. Am I crazy? Was it 1940s or 1930s that the Pinocchio movie came out from Disney?
I will Google it real quick.
Yeah. It's old. It's almost public domain. But that's just
Yeah.
It's a 1940 animated film. Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's old.
Yeah, I knew it was in the 1940s. So like that was my first guess.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, the slow corrupting passage of time, existential crisis here.
Disney has ruled our lives for over a century.
Oh, that was the whole. I think that was Wish, right? That came out, the Disney movie, and that was supposed to be like, this is our 100th year movie. It's gonna be great, and everyone watched it and like, meh. Everyone's like, this kind of sucks.
Yeah, sadly, I think it would have been better if it was 2D animated, but that's just me.
I think
Well,
it would have been
that's-
better if they wouldn't have like scrapped the original concept for it.
Well, I don't know the original concept, but like, I didn't watch that movie, but the premise just sounded stupid to me, in my opinion. I just.
Oh, when you get a chance, look into it. Like, originally, like, there was supposed to be both an evil king and an evil queen villain duo. And the star was supposed to, like, have a more humanoid look, and there was going to be this love story element to it. Like, take some time to research into it. It was a really fascinating concept. I'm upset they didn't go with it.
Yeah, we could have gotten a Star Twink and said we got a knockoff Minion, and I will never forgive them for this.
Yeah. We got
Yeah,
flipping marketable plushie 896.
Yeah.
The biggest issue I had, and like maybe this cast is going to turn into shitting on Disney, but but like, hey, I'm okay with that because it is a discussion of stories. Like it's like stories for kids almost have seemed to devolve, like for like the past 5 years at least in the Western media. It's kind of upsetting.
Oh, I heard
Yeah.
Elio was actually pretty good, but I haven't seen it.
I've not seen that one yet either.
Yeah,
But,
I've been meaning to see that one.
But with a Wish, just to say, because wishes are a part of Pinocchio's lore. If you look at specifically, like the Disney tale, like "Wishing Upon a Star," like that is the Disney song. Like,
Disney did change a lot from when they were adapting the fairy tales to like their own original animated movies.
Oh,
A lot of the fairy tales did not have happy endings. I will say that.
Just look at The Little Mermaid. My gosh.
Oh, that one is terrible. Like I think, like, well, that's a big part of what I would talk about. Like adaptations of stories, like they evolve so drastically. It, in the grand scheme of everything, 100 years is not that long of a time. If you like, you could probably talk to your like grandfather, and they would be like, "Oh, I watched this version when I was a kid." Like, and they would also be able to tell you, "Oh, I watched people play like Liza P." or whatever. Well, like, that's a slight exaggeration, but not really.
And we got
You know what I mean?
ourselves
It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
Berserker
Right?
here.
So, hey, we got another person.
Hello.
But like, for Wish, the thing that just killed me was like, the villain was a villain because he didn't want to automatically grant a wish to everyone who wanted a wish granted. Wasn't that like a thing where he was paid as the villain for?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, well,
I
so
mean-
he's probably fixing something.
yeah. I know Paul was
Imagine,
having some
like-
issues earlier, so we'll give him a little bit of time to pop back in if you can. But
Yeah.
Berserker, you want to introduce yourself?
Mic check, 1, 2, 3. This is your main man, Next Berserker on the mic. How y'all doing tonight? Oh wait, it's morning. Shit.
You messed it up, Berserker. You're fired.
Now you have to go spend $59.99 on Rido Remastered. That's your punishment.
Darn it.
That's not a good enough punishment. The real punishment up falls back.
No. Sentence
So-
him to watching the live action Pinocchio.
No, that's amateur hour. We gotta increase his. We gotta make his palate better. That's the better punishment. We gotta show him
Okay.
a good movie, the best
A good
Pinocchio.
What is the best Pinocchio movie?
This one.
I knew someone was going to bring this up.
Oh no!
I've seen nothing but a huge essay about all
I've-
Pinocchio movies. So
Okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I
I like the other one that came out recently. Oh gosh, I forget the studio that made it.
you mean Totoro?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, that one's great. But I think like both Pinocchio and Alice have gotten dozens and dozens of adaptations from all flavors of the rainbow and all quality spanning. And from what I looked up, like this Pinocchio movie, like in its original language, isn't that bad. But when it got dubbed over into English, it was just the worst thing in history.
Oh, so it was a botched translation job.
Yeah, like
That's a shame.
I don't fully understand like what a lot of the things I went with.
Yeah. Well,
Interesting.
Oh,
A very funny thing with Pinocchio, and this is just a thing I went like. I don't know why Disney went with this, other than it's a good lesson for kids. The original Pinocchio did not have this as the core message, which is in the Disney version, don't lie and be a good boy. Like, unless I'm crazy, like, wasn't that the main lesson in Disney's Pinocchio? Lying is bad and be a good boy for your father.
well, pretty much. It's like, even though like kids lie all the flipping time.
Yeah, and I think parents lie way more than kids at that early age because you want to keep them innocent, and then at a certain point you gotta get slapped across the head like, nope.
Well, that kind of plays into like the purpose of the stories and their original intention, kind of like what we were talking about before. Because like Alice in Wonderland and Pinocchio were fairy tales. You know, they're not really designed to really tell like a cohesive narrative. They were more like folk tales to like, you know, basically warn children about not doing things like, oh, don't lie like Pinocchio or else your nose will grow long, or you know,
Like
Alice
they're
in Wonderland, like, you know, don't really daydream or else you might end up in this world and get harassed. So then, you know, those remnants will get carried on weirdly when a company like Disney comes along and adapts them to children's media. You know, suddenly you can't really have these children dying on screen because your target audience is for children. So they adapted it into more happy ending, and that's how you just kind of get these evolution of characters. We went from like trying to scare kids into behaving into like trying to entertain them.
well, like why the original Pinocchio movie, there is a lot of horrifying imagery there. With the I'm blanking on the fucking whale's name.
Yeah.
Manga?
Oh
The
gosh.
Disney
Mumbo?
Pinocchio was early enough that they kept some of the darker parts. Early
Yeah, like-
enough, and they still left out quite a few things.
Oh yeah. Like they definitely left out a few things from the original.
Yeah, Monstro. That's the name of the whale.
Yeah. Monster. Yeah.
He
Kingdom Hearts.
there is, I would say, if a YouTube video that I love and I've listened to a bunch, and I'll probably reference a decent amount if you want to try to, yeah, because they did a lot of research for Lesbian, and I kind of piggybacked off of a lot of what they did. It's a great video called "How Liza P Twist Pinocchio's Origins" is what it's called. It was done by the YouTuber Zoldim, I think is how you say it. And actually, it's covers all of the adaptations from the original Pinocchio tales into Lies of P, because until that video came out, and I didn't really know the original story of Pinocchio at all, and but listening to that, I'm like, it kind of blew my mind, the original story of Pinocchio. And the main thing that blew my mind is that lying was not a big part of Pinocchio's story. Like, that was not the main lesson. Like, it's a massive deal with the mythos of Pinocchio now because of the Disney, but in the original tales, not so much. The original tales were more discussing, like, the idea of be educated, be hardworking, rather than just be a quote-unquote good boy or be a real boy or anything like that. And it was also don't trust people of authority just because they look authoritative.
Yeah, like, be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah. There was a scene in the original Tales of Pinocchio where I forget the full context, but it was like he's on trial or something, and the judge is a gorilla with a pair of glasses who explains in that story he only has that position because people saw that he had glasses and he looked like official. So that's the only reason he has this position. So it's like,
I mean, is that all it takes to be a position of power these days?
yeah.
Get me a pair of glasses, then.
Like, and because of that, like, the Lies of P game is actually kind of oddly faithful to the original stories, because it actually adapts a lot more than even like what most people like grew up with the Disney's Pinocchio. It actually adapts a lot of the characters and a lot of the concepts in a way more depth than you would initially think, because at first glance it looks completely separate, and that's kind of the idea of evolutions of stories.
There is one difference, man. Notably, Pinocchio can fight back.
Pinocchio can, like, it's not. I think Pinocchio being able to fight back, it's like, it's a Souls-like. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fighting back doesn't make you feel that powerful because you're going to get killed 20,000 times before you beat the.
I killed Parade Master on like my first try. No.
You mean the like second easiest boss in the game?
Yeah.
But what do people all out, like, just throw this out there? But what's like ideas or stories that you guys want to discuss just in general, like evolution, and kind of can relate that to like both Alice and Pinocchio and any of the story we want to bring up, I guess. Just for open table talk, I guess.
So this is like a deep dive?
No, it's kind of like a deep dive / just, have a good time, do a little bit different. For
Okay,
this
no debate.
Not yet. We're not doing the debate until Rand shows up. He's just a little bit late.
I see. Am I lagging?
No, you're good.
No, you're good.
We're just quiet. I thought you were going to say like a question or prompt.
Yeah, Paul just had to
Yeah,
pop
it's
back
just that
in.
my camera feels unmoving at times. But maybe it's just me.
One interesting thing that I kind of noticed, especially because in like the 2000s where you had a lot of, let's just say, edgier versions of these kinds of stories, it sort of feels like, and I was talking about this last night, we kind of had a thing where a lot of those stories that kind of got sanitized by Disney in the 2000s, you saw them kind of get some of their bite back. Like one of the Pinocchios I remember the most from my childhood was the one from Billy and Mandy, who wants to be a real boy by eating Billy.
Which I'm just like, being edgy. Like, how many fairy tale characters are in Billy and Mandy? They probably have done dozens in that show.
They did do a lot
It
of
was a
them.
2000s cartoon. There's always going to be a little edge.
Yeah, we also talked about there's a Pinocchio like vampire hunter.
Yes, I can actually. I think I can get that one up
You gotta
here.
do that. Just throw that up like
To
what?
be honest, yeah.
Let's see here.
I think Pinocchio is just really easy to like adapt overall, considering how many stories are just adapted. Just the
Yeah.
story is pretty simple.
Well, it's like just it's a puppet or toy, and there's also I forget the name of the adaptation. It might just be Pinocchio like Future or something. But there was also one where it's like he's a robot in a world made out of chrome.
Pinocchio Vamp. Yeah, it was Pinocchio 3000. I do remember that one.
Yeah, so it's a pretty like the base of like Pinocchio as a character is very easy to adapt. Same with Alice.
And I got the Vampire Slayer one here.
Alice is technically one of the first isekai protagonists, if you think about it.
I hate how you're right. Pinocchio, Vampire Slayer. Never thought I'd see the day.
I don't get why it's a thing.
I feel like there's like Vampire Slayer is one of the most funniest like subtitles you could give to a character. Just
Well, like we gotta put him beside. We gotta put him beside Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham
Oh, yeah.
Lincoln. Just name any character, and just put Vampire Slayer under them.
Yeah.
I
I do
wonder
remember
how-
they did have a slightly unique thing here where, because his nose still grows in the story, he can lie on purpose, make his nose grow, and then tear it off to make a steak.
Okay, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Also, like a character like Pinocchio, that it's like a wooden puppet, would be actually ideal for hunting vampires because he does not have blood that could be exploited by them.
Yeah, I don't know the story at all. Is this a game or is this like a book? It looks.
It's a
like a
comic
cheese-
book.
Oh, I was gonna say it looked like a cheesy comic
You're
book.
gonna. It is a. It looks like a comic book. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading the first issue like a long time ago, and yeah, the main crux of it is that after Pinocchio comes to life, his dad gets killed by vampires, and so that's what has him going and trying to kill all the vampires.
I kind of like the art of it. Like it's black and white and red all over, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a black and
We're
white
gonna get-
comic. I can...
We're gonna get Vampire Slayer, Pinocchio before a P.
Yeah.
There is also this one's. I think it's more recent, but there is a. It's a game called Raven's Watch, which is a Souls-like, not Souls-like, a roguelike. There we go, roguelike. And you don't play as Pinocchio, but you play as Geppetto, and Geppetto just beats the enemies to death by pulling out puppets. He's got like random gizmos and such. Okay, I want to read this comic code.
Reminds me of like the Hellboy artist.
Is that a crossbow
It's a
puppet?
it's like it's a robot arm, right? Or is he just holding it weird? I don't know if his arm is that thing or not.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's an
I think
arm
it's
or
like
a
a
weapon.
gun crossbow. I think it's supposed to be like an automatic crossbow. Something like
Wait,
that.
did Liza P steal from this comic to get the arm?
Oh my gosh, guys. Conspiracy.
I do not like Pinocchio's. I don't like his hair. I don't like his hair in this comic. It looks that weird swirl. I'm against it in so many levels.
Clark Kent swirl.
Yeah.
Uh,
There's actually a lot of comic books that kind of do something similar with the grittier change up to the fairy tales. I know, like, one... I don't remember if it was one that had a cast, or if it's not a cast, a pitch, but I've been seeing it a lot on the Death Battle Matchups Reddit. Gertrude from I Hate Fairyland, which is kind of similar. I don't know if anyone else here knows that one.
no, I don't know.
Basically, it's
I'm
just
not
a
aware.
little girl gets isekai'd to Fairyland, and she hates it, so she just kills everything.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I heard that like series got rebooted, but it's kind of clear the story ended up not really going anywhere.
Like, and if I got isekai into a fantasy world, like I'm pretty sure I would hate it. You know, like I would have to end up in like a like if I'm in a castle with a lot of like books and such, I think I'm okay. But if I'm just like a peasant in the countryside, I might understand killing everybody.
To
'Cause I'm
understand,
just-
I hate Fairyland. Imagine BB Hood with the direction sense of Zorro.
Yeah.
Excuse you? Me?
No,
One
Zorro
Piece.
from One Piece.
I know. I was just making a joke.
Yep.
Like,
Oh,
she
I've-
was a little girl who got sent to Fairyland, and she was supposed to get a key, but she got lost for 30 years.
How is she still a little girl then?
Yeah, Fairyland kind of keeps her young
Magic of
forever,
Fairyland.
which,
That's actually that actually is kind of fucked.
You know,
so she's like a middle-aged
kinda
woman in
wanna
a
see
real
a
girl's
match.
body, so she's kind of bitter about it.
I kind of want to see like the matchup between her and Kara right now because like both of them are just like destroyer of worlds with our small children.
By the way, is there a way that you can put up our audio? Because going off of the live stream, some guys saying that we're quiet.
Oh, yeah, a sec.
Oh yeah, I know Sherm had the same problem with some of the streams he ran.
Yeah, that was the thing early on. I know that.
Yeah, I'm buffing it up a bit. Sound any better? Can anyone test?
Well, that's on the
Yeah.
live stream.
Oh, all right, hold on.
Like, it sounds fine in the call, but I don't know about the live
Right.
stream. There's so many, I'm trying to think, like, what are the big fairy tale characters or classic literary characters who have been, like, adapted the most? Pinocchio, Alice, pretty sure Frankenstein, but I don't know if that counts as, like, that's not very good, it's just classic literature.
I have seen a lot of adaptations of The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, okay. I have tested the audio on stream, and it sounds like decent on my computer.
Let me buff it up
So-
a bit on my thing. Is it getting louder?
How
Chat,
many-
can we get some confirmation? Is it louder or?
Yeah, we'll see if people continue to comment. I just saw a recent thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've not seen adaptations of The Little Mermaid, so it's crazy you're listening to that one off.
I have seen like a lot of. Let's just say I was looking up a lot of fairy tale folklore in one phase of my life, and I turned out there was a lot of loose adaptations, like anime that use the concept, a Russian like short, movies that use the concept loosely.
Okay, Paul's having a hard time. Was one of the anime like it was like a cheesy comedy romance anime? It was like guy figures out like a girl is a mermaid, but her dad's like the boss of the mermaid mafia or something like that. It's
I know what you're thinking, but no, actually no.
I love that anime when I watched that when I was younger. It's so stupid. What was the anime that was like a more closely adapted?
Well, it was a one from the 70s, I think, that was basically an honest adaptation of the original book by Hans Christian Andersen. And then there was this one post-apocalyptic one about a girl who would turn into bubbles if she ever touched water.
That sucks. Can't take a shower. Can't be stinky.
I mean, is it just water? Like, she might be able to shower in another liquid.
Well, it's post-apocalyptic Earth where people parkour to compete, and all the like skyscrapers are literally under ocean.
Wait, how would parkour work underwater? Because
That's
you
just
can't-
swimming.
That's on like the highest buildings on construction equipment. It's weird.
That sounds like
But that's
fancy
not-
swimming.
That's just fancy swimming. That's not parkour.
Yeah, like you're not making any jumps. You're just swimming with style.
I forgot the name of it, but it was basically like a. Let me look up the name.
I don't think there's been an
Oh, it's
action.
called Bubble.
I think I remember that, but I don't like. I remember the name, but I don't remember anything about it.
And also, apparently, Ponyo is also based on Little Mermaid, but it's always a loose term.
Yeah, that one I
That's
remember.
that seems way more loose
Yeah.
than others.
Also, Paul, just update, could drop out of stream, but he's still gonna jury from the chat.
Yeah, he was having a hard time, unfortunately.
Yeah,
There
unfortunately.
We're just killing time for Rand.
Yeah.
What do? So, there is one thing that is the most interesting. One of the most interesting things by Eliza P to me. The company that made Eliza P. That was their first Souls-like. They only made like rhythm games beforehand.
That is interesting.
Like
Studio
Interesting
just
career
kind of
change.
it's like okay, guys, we're going our first attempt, and it's not even in my opinion, Liza P is not like a 10 out of 10 game. It's like an 8.5. You know what I mean? It's like and the main reason I would give it a 10 out of 10, but it's lacking one thing that I think you need for most Souls games, and that is bosses having aura. The bosses don't have enough aura. That's the main issue.
Well, still, like, even from like jumping ship from like a normal rhythm game to like, something completely drastic, like that's an amazing first outing into the genre.
Yeah, it's insane that they went like, hey, we're gonna like this is our first attempt, and everyone's like, this is almost as good as From Software.
Yeah, it really is surprising how well they made the game. So close. It's like Bloodborne almost.
It's
almost.
I didn't want to bring it up too much, but the classic explanation is like if you took Sekiro plus Bloodborne, you get Lies of P. Is like I don't want to bring that up too much.
Another interesting thing is that kind of going back to the adaptation thing. I've been noticing a lot of people trying to play around more with the like stories of the Disney movies a lot, both like Disney and like outside Disney. Like the main one I can think of is a play called Twisted. If anyone's heard of that one.
Twisted the Wonderland.
Not Twisted Wonderland, just Twisted.
Oh, right.
And Rand is here.
Okay,
let's go.
Also, one more thing before we jump ship on that turn, like,
okay.
I like how as soon as Mickey entered the public domain, there were just like 3 horror movies announced based off flipping Mickey Mouse from Steamboat Willie.
And games. Don't forget the games.
Don't forget the games, yeah.
Yeah. Just like they just came crawling out of the woodwork. Like we knew this was coming. We've been preparing this. And just,
we've been preparing the entire year.
Yep, we've been sitting on this all year.
Yeah, but like there is only one that came out. It was like, what is it? Something Mouse Detective or something? It's like,
Mouse and P, right?
Yeah, I think is that it? It's like Mouse, like that.
It's inspired, but not.
It's inspired by.
Yeah, it's like I was in college and I actually saw early development of that game on like a random YouTube video I saw. They use Unreal Engine, and it was like Unreal Engine 4 block mesh.
Crazy.
I still think they probably waited till after, Sim. Technically, Mickey Mouse is not public domain. It's Steamboat Willie is public domain.
Well, yeah, like that
it's not inspired because I have seen the development years before, like Mickey was in public domain. So.
Yeah. So we're finally can stop stalling. We can probably have a more guided.
I do want to say one thing because I was curious about it. There are, as of right now, 7 separate Mickey Mouse horror movies.
God.
Dang. Like out or in production?
I think they're all... Okay, some are out, some are not out.
Yeah, because I know Mickey's Mousetrap came out really quickly, and it was terrible.
I think we need to have Like that would be a movie marathon. Like we could do a tier list of terrible Mickey Mouse horror movies. That's a tier list down the line.
And then have like a battle royale fan cast about like which one would win if we forced them all to fight.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I'm going to kill you all.
I'm gonna stab you with this knife.
I have a knife.
It's also very funny seeing all of these where they're trying to just keep making different names, and they're very clearly running out of names for these movies.
Yep.
List them off. List them off.
Okay,
Okay,
so
we'll do that. We'll get into the debate.
okay, we have The Mousetrap, which was like I think that was the first one.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
Screamboat. We have
That's clever.
Mouse
Okay.
of Horrors.
Eh.
I
Well, that's
Heart
all right.
Willie.
Wait, say that one again.
I Heart Willie.
That sounds like a love movie.
That sounds like Valen. Is this a rom-com? What?
Okay, this is the best one. Mickey versus Winnie.
Got a lot of honey here too.
The Mousetrap 2. Welcome to the Mickeyverse.
No.
What
No,
They're
that
doing-
movie's
no.
too terrible to have a multiverse. Stop.
What?
And
multiverse?
Mouseboat Massacre.
Are they gonna have like a? We're gonna have to scale the cosmology of the multiverse of the.
I am not scaling the cosmology for stupid asshole Michael Rat.
I think.
Horror movies. Horror movie cosmology. Let's go.
Let's
Did
go.
the directors just think, let's just throw in Mickey Mouse and whatever's working in here and just see what happens?
Probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, alright. I think now is a good time for us to finally get into the actual debate part.
I did my best not to like spoil all the stuff with Liza P before the actual debate because I have stuff I want to talk about.
One
before
thing I
the-
was gonna say when y'all talking about like the evolution of stories, I was expecting Archive to bring up the live action Alice in Wonderland from Disney.
Well, the reason I did, I was going to leave that to you if you wanted to talk about that.
It's kind of interesting for that one because it's technically a sequel to the original 2D animated version, and it's just bad. But it was also it was also our first introduction to the Jabberwocky and the Vorpal Blade, so that they drew on more inspiration from the other stories instead of just retelling the original movie again.
Yeah, I can appreciate them for at least.
They also, I will say, this is a PG kids movie, and we see a little mouse pop a animal's eye out in full camera with a actual like pop sound.
Hey, the Batman with Robert Pattinson had saw traps in it, and that's PG-13.
No, this was a PG movie.
Really? Okay. Well, it's still the same idea. It's like, what the? Who's in
And
charge
also-
of
Yeah, I will give Disney props for somehow getting all of this stuff past censors. We got the eye popping out. We see small, tiny Alice walking over the beheaded heads of all the people the Red Queen have chopped off. That's in her moat surrounding her castle.
Okay. All right.
That sounds metal.
So, moving forward, I think I'm going to say, because this is the matchup that I pitched to the cast, I think I'll give kind of a general connections, and then we can go into our 60 seconds. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I'm probably not going to use my full 60 seconds.
Okay. Is that right, you guys? As well, just the.
'Cause I'm not good with good with the 60 seconds thing.
How does that even work? I don't really know the buttons.
Okay. Alright, I'm gonna put the timer on starting now.
I don't see the timer.
I don't see the timer.
It's on my end.
Well, I first wanted to explain like the matchup in general, and then go
Ah,
into
okay.
questions and
Okay,
characters.
yeah. Go ahead.
Well, you figured that out. So the matchup, for those who are hopefully now checking in, because we kind of were just killing it like the last 30 minutes.
I need water.
It is.
Oh, now I see the timer. Oh wait, no, I just saw it in the YouTube video. It's just not here.
Oh, that's because it's on. It's on OBS.
Okay, we'll figure this out. Sorry, everyone who's watching or whatnot. This is just a rough time. Anyway, the matchup is between Geppetto's puppet from the game Lies of P versus Alice from American McGee's Alice. The general connection is that these are two modern day adaptations of classic literary characters that are generally considered kind of darker than their original counterparts. But they're both surprisingly faithful, and hopefully we can go into the connections that they don't just have with one another, but also for the original story counterparts, as this debate continues forward. It's just sort of an interesting comparison more than just the matchup itself. Like, who's stronger, who's faster, and all that. That, to me, is secondary to this matchup. But with that in mind, I'm still going to be happy to debate who actually wins this. So I'm up to do the first 60 seconds if you think you've got that up and going.
Yeah. You guys won't be able to see it, so I'll just kind of... viewers will be able to see it. I'll just tell you guys when it's up, basically.
I'm going to have stream open up on my phone real quick.
Yeah, I'm going to click over to the stream as well. Why not?
Okay.
I'll go first.
Alrighty then, and 3, 2, 1, go.
When you wish upon a star, your dreams will come true. But in the case of Lies of P, those dreams can be corrupted into nightmares. Long ago, in the city of Krot, a meteorite crashed down into the great city that we all know and are terrified of. And that city basically farmed the memories and souls of human beings to power different puppets, and use them for twisted experiments in a dark, corrupted island that turned people into immortal zombies as their stone turned to flesh. And there was only one person in all of Krot who could stop this, and that would be, the one and only Geppetto's puppet. He's never called Pinocchio. He's never called P, and and I do have no idea when he will even get his name. But he doesn't need a name to beat Alice. That'll be mine.
Alright. And I also found our official timer, so I can use that for the next one.
Okay, I'm not going to use all of the 60 seconds because I'm not good with it.
Well, I'm going to put it up anyway because I need to know
Go
how to
ahead.
do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, we have all seen the traditional Alice story from Disney, right? This is not that. This is a psychological game about someone's family who got burned in a fire. So Alice Liddel, when she was like 8 or 9, saw her family and house burned to the crisp in front of her, and she then spent the next 12 years comatose in a mental asylum. Well, all this is going on in her own head. She is figuring things out, while the world that she once knew as Wonderland has now become twisted and demented by the Red Queen. That's all that I got.
Well, congratulations. You managed to do the 60 seconds.
Okay.
Perfect timing.
I don't know how mine was. Like, I tried my best with it. So.
It was a couple of seconds over.
My bad.
But it's fine.
So, first, I think it's appropriate to throw up an image of the combatants. Can you throw up the puppet one?
Okie dokie.
Okay, we gotta figure out the characters. Just for everyone to have a reference.
I don't... Where is...
Okay, wait, nope. Nope, that's Timothy Chalamet. Wrong. Okay, no. Send the next image of the puppet. That one's correct.
Okay.
You set that up, didn't you?
Amazing.
No.
Okay.
No. Wrong.
Why is it P? Oh my god.
That's gotta be a mod. Please tell me
is.
it's a mod.
It actually is a mod.
Let's
It's a
go!
mod.
He's
Is
a
it also
god!
ladies' underwear?
There's a reason why Archive is only on voice, because if we could see his face, his nose would be like the size of a ruler right now.
Very true.
Okay. No, I'm gonna no. Send the real puppet. By the way, I could have done this for like an hour. There's so many versions of it.
Okay, here's the real puppet.
The real puppet.
No, no. This was not me. This was not my bit. This is your
That's
bit.
that one was my bit.
Okay,
You set me up for that
I was
one.
about to say.
You set me up for that one, but
that was
yeah.
not
Can the
Okay.
real Geppetto's puppet come up?
Realpuppet.png is now
Yeah.
loading.
Pathetic.
There we go.
That's just Timothy. That's just.
No, okay, this is
Chalamet.
yeah. No, it's according to several YouTubers, it's Twinkathy Charlemagne.
Twinkathy Chalamet.
The origin of puppets. I kind of want to go over this a little bit, because this will go into how Alice and the puppet will fight. Because, and like Rand can support me on this. The puppet is a recreation of Geppetto's blood son, like his actual, human son, named Carlo. Years ago, in Krot, Carlos died from a disease called the
Petrification.
the Because what else say it? I'm fucking up.
Petrification.
Yeah, petrification. There we go. I finally got it. The petrification disease. He died, and stricken by grief, Geppetto recreated his son in the form of a puppet. He placed a thing called Ergo of his son into the shell that is the puppet for you. Because Ergo is people's solidified memories. Because years ago, if you would show up the crowd meteorite, you can pull that image up.
Let me see here.
Yes. There we go.
Crowd.
Like, it's supposed to be like some German or Polish inspired thing. Years
what
ago, go ahead. You guys can cut me off and ask questions as I explain some
From
of this
what
lore.
I understood, Ergo is basically the memories and essence
Yes.
of a dead person.
Yes.
Yes. Because, and from what I can, but if you have the petrification disease, and you are, I believe it solidifies is the thing. Like otherwise, it just disperses. Is the idea. But if you are near crowd, the crowd will absorb ergo of people who die near it, and it endlessly grows. So, and because of that, it's a never-ending supply of this rare material that you can use to power the different puppets that you see throughout the world of Lies of P.
I think you should explain what crowd and the petrification disease is. But I guess later on.
Yeah, I'm trying to do my best. I'm just trying to explain like how the puppet was like created, as well as a big part of the character, which is memories and people's consciousness turning into crowd if you're killed, if you're near. No, it gets turned into ergo if you were killed near crowd. Is effectively how it works. For lack of a better word, I'm explaining all of this because the way that Alice herself fights is that she can project her, like, an actual version of herself into other people's minds that go invade their wonderlands, is how it's explained in a few of the animated shorts that came after the games, as well as, like, and because ergo is people's consciousness and memories that just can be solidified and absorbed by different deposits of ergo or deposits of crowd, if the puppet is able to fight in his mind, which obviously if Alice can do it, and we do see other people able to interact with astral projections in the different shorts, so obviously he can still fight her. He can fight that astral projection and be able to absorb by killing that astral projection, like her memories and her psyche, and that's how he'll be able to interact with her inside of his own mind, because he can literally absorb her memories by battling her. Like I wanted to explain that is kind of what I want to cover. Yeah. It's because the puppet is Carlos is ergo put into a puppet chassis and fully awakening into a full-on personification throughout the game. Any questions there? Really? Sorry, that's a lot of information.
So is this fight just going to be taking place in Pinocchio's head?
So
inside of his Wonderland is how I view it.
So I'm gonna bring up just a few small things from the pitch Bible of the third game that didn't happen because EA hates fun. Alice can somehow bring things from Wonderlands into the real world. Basically just pull stuff out of her Wonderland and just use it in the real world. But since that's from the canceled third game, because EA hates fun, it's something that could happen, but it shouldn't be a part of this debate. If
this fight did take place in the real world, it's a lot more straightforward for how they would fight one another. But if it took place inside of Pinocchio's mind, he could still fight her because he's able to absorb memories through battle by defeating things.
I see.
Because that's what ergo is.
Yeah.
That is stated in the game. If you want to post, ergo is memories. If you want to post that image. Sure. It's explained in chapter 7 of Lies of P if you find a secret area.
Of course, plot important information's in a secret area.
It's a Souls game.
It is a Souls game, to be fair. Souls games don't explain anything to you. You could play the entire Dark Souls and not understand a single thing.
Yeah. Yes. People without the petrification disease do release ergo as well. So if that, I just think it solidifies if you have the petrification disease.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What do you want to discuss next? I just wanted to put a baseline of how who the puppet is and how they can fight.
So we know the basics about the puppet now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to describe basic? What is the puppet's fighting style? How does the puppet fight?
Yeah.
The puppet has a vast array of weaponry that they collect throughout the game because it's an RPG. It's a Souls-like. And they can vary from your general sabers to your rapiers, your great electric hammers, saws, giant axes, and if you would be so kind, you can also post. Guess what? We got boss weapons.
Let's go.
Let's go.
We've got boss weapons.
Boss weapons for sale.
If you don't know Soul Likes, you have no idea what this is referencing.
Wait, is that an umbrella?
Yes.
Yeah. That is called etiquette.
Is it a gunbrella?
It is a gunbrella, yes.
No, it's
Oh my gosh, all hail the gunbrella.
But no, he fights with a variety of weapons that he collects throughout the world, as well as turning. It's a game mechanic, but I think the explanation, if you had to go okay, how did they do this in war, is there is your blacksmith in your hub area who's oh, if you bring me this, I can look at it and get an idea for a new design of a weapon. I think would be the logical.
One of the funniest things in Lies of P is you can have this great big grand hammer and just this tiny little handle. You can literally make lore accurate Mjolnir.
Yeah, you are able to. You can't do it with boss weapons, but every normal weapon you can like break in two and combine with everything else. So technically, the puppet has over 600 weapons. Technically,
What?
Damn.
Yeah, each handle it has like a different like attack and all that. And if you want to like, oh, I like this attack speed and all that, but I hate it's like whatever like damage it's doing, so you can switch it out for something else.
yeah, the game is really great with the customization. It's like, oh, I
Yeah.
like this handle, I like this blade. I would really like something that combined the two. You could literally combine the two, and an issue in a lot of Souls likes is like if you find a weapon like halfway through the game, you're like, dang, I've been building for like a strength build. This is a dexterity build. There are a thing called cranks in the game. And you can take that to a weapon and like crank it. Okay, now it's a dex weapon. So the game is very much designed around you can pick up any weapon and use it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good with the weapon customizability. I think we talked, if you don't mind, Archive, I think we talked enough about the puppet for now.
yeah, go ahead.
Can we talk about what Alice could bring to the table?
Okay, so Alice has a ton of weapons from the first game, all that are designed around like things that children would play with. And a few funnier ones. I'm gonna bring up one of the funnier ones now before I get into her main one. Can you bring up Ice Baby?
Yes, I can.
So this is a weapon they get early on into the game called the Ice Wand. It basically, think of a flamethrower but for ice. It can can I get into specifics and stats like that if that's okay with y'all?
Yeah.
Go for it. The floor is yours.
Okay, so this ice is so cold it can freeze fire and lava monsters in massive cubes of ice. And it also, and in the first game, each weapon has a secondary firing style. This one brings up a ice wall that can block attacks from your physical to your ranged. And yeah, also I just found this image funny because this was the censored one in Europe because the other one had the English one had her main weapon. Can you bring up image Snicker Snack? Be prepared for a lot of images. I couldn't fit them all on one.
Yeah.
So this is her main weapon, the Vorpal Blade. So fun fact about the American McGee's Alice games: all of the original Alice books and poems are canon to the games. So yeah, basically the Vorpal Blade is your standard slashy knife. She can throw it at people and it can come back to her. It also is kind of implied it has a mind of its own. It's weird, but the knife is it's very sharp because it can like with a single slash it can completely bisect a person.
Oh my god, she can gojo people.
Yeah, she can gojo people.
Oh no!
It's also, I believe, I can't remember where, but I believe it's described as an unbreakable knife. She also has like a bunch of other weapons that I'll get into probably later if y'all want. If that's okay with y'all, because I have so much more.
Yeah, that's okay. So, from what I'm understanding, that they're both weapon users, basically.
Yes.
They got a ton of weapons that they could throw at each other.
Mm-hmm.
But the question I have is, who is more skilled as a fighter?
Okay.
I'll go first with that one.
Okay.
I think the puppet the puppet has the inherited memories of Carla for example. And Carlo was apprentice to a legendary. They're called stalkers in the game, but it's like your classic like knight of a city, right? Your independent knight of Krat is a stalker. He was trained by her in various forms of combat. So, and because Ergo is memory, it's most likely implied like as he's defeating stuff, he's like taking snippets of different people's like memories and consciousness and adding that onto his own skill set. Because he's able to beat the whole game. You're able to beat the whole game within like 24 hours periods, and that's when he wakes up. The puppet's only 12 is only 24 hours old, but he's still able to go toe to toe with every single thing that you could fight in the game.
Well, he's older than. Oh wait, no, he's actually younger than Mahito. Never mind.
Yeah, Mahito's like 3 months old.
Yeah, if the puppet got into Death Battle, he would be the youngest combatant.
Let's go.
A literal
baby.
A literal
He's literally
infant.
a day old.
A literal day-old infant piecing up people is the funniest thing.
It's but he has
You will
like
send
all
this
this.
child into death battle.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about Diaboromon is also technically the same age as him.
I think.
Oh wait, yeah, because Well, no, because Diaboromon appeared in the sequel, so Diaboromon would canonically be 2 years old. So Puppet still has him.
I think it was. I think Alex Mercer was the youngest combatant in Death Battle history, and until Mahito, because Alex Mercer was like only 2 years old. Because that isn't like the human Alex Mercer. That's the Blacklight virus taking the form of Alex Mercer.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah. So that's my like. So the puppet is classically trained. He has inherited skills, at least somewhat from everything he's defeated.
So basically, the puppet, despite being a literal infant, is skilled enough to go with extremely skilled fighters toe to toe, hold his own. All right,
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, never mind.
I was going to say, the final boss of the game is a dude who's becoming a god, and you're able to, as a day-old being, go like, bet, just
bet.
Yeah, of course, that makes a lot of sense. How is Alice looking in the skill department?
Okay, so somewhere in one of the memories in the second game, Alice has been stated to have an interest in, since she's kind of the upper crust of society a little bit, since she hangs around a lot, since her family was kind of influential, she was trained, she would take up the hobby of a bunch of things, I think including fencing, but in the second game, she can fight samurai wasps, like fully trained samurai wasps. All with a knife. And a couple other weapons from the second game. Can you bring up smashing?
Smashing.
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 Smashing. So, this is the hobby horse, which I didn't know this until I was doing research. So in the second Alice game, you can upgrade all the weapons to make them stronger, more powerful, all that, do more damage. And the hobby horse's weapons upgrades are based off of the 7 horsemen of the apocalypse. Can you bring up the 4 horsemen image, please?
Yes, I can.
This has nothing to do with the debate. I just found this cool. But with the hobby horse weapon, she was able to kind of like shatter the ground to the point where it like ignited, and she can also, with a single hit of the weapon, fully break a massive kind of small tower like being called the White King. But you can see in this image all of the horsemen. We have the Pale Rider on the right, famine, war, pestilence, all that. Can you bring up the Big King image? with a single swing of that hammer, she was able to turn this living marble creature to dust.
Damn, she's got that Virgil scaling.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's
I kind of
destroyed
got,
the door.
I kind of got into stats there a little bit. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. But overall, so she seems pretty skilled.
Yeah, she also has like a bunch of other weird, wacky weapons, but I'm gonna save a couple of those for later.
So it's clear to me that Alice is gonna have experience by default because she's older.
Yeah, she is. She is canonically, I think, at the end of the anime shorts, 24.
Literal infant beefing with a 24-year-old.
Damn, Alice, why are you trying to kill a child so bad?
Has the so like I think so like Carl so like he's not like infant minded he like or anything so
yeah, of course not. If he was, we'd have bigger problems.
Yeah, it'd be way worse.
You know?
Like, I am saying
Yeah.
that his mind is like probably like 18 to 20. I don't think it's ever stated how old Carlos was when he died, but like something around there probably. Like,
I think Carlos was around his late teens, probably.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So we're looking good on the skill and experience side.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of went.
Do you want
stats?
Do you want
a little
to?
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you went into stats.
Yeah. Do you want to go on the stats?
Do you want to go into stats right now?
What do you guys want to hear? Like
we're on the topic of it. I'm kind of interested in the stats now.
Okay.
We never got to see any of the other weapons.
Okay. Let me go into let me go into the puppets. The other half of his arsenal. I want to go over arms.
Let's go over weapons like a bit more because I kind of want to go through all of Alice's weapons.
All right, fair enough. All right, weapons for the puppets. Bring up some more weapons.
Yeah. Okay, pull up arms for days.
Arms for days.
Arms for days.
You get an arm. You get an arm. Everybody gets an arm.
The puppet is completely artificial, but his right arm looks more human, while his left arm is more mechanical. Obviously, that's just the gameplay design tricks or whatever.
Yeah.
Like both, like his skin's probably silicone, the same like fake rubber stuff that the tattoo artists use. Most likely, is my guess. He's got a variety of weapon arms. I think he has 2 more from the DLC, but those aren't important. Really for this.
Yeah, those arms don't really do much.
Yeah, they're not drastic. He has a shield arm that is a landmine. So basically, you can hold it up and like it's kind of cheating because of how powerful it is defensive wise. And when it's activated, it does a massive explosion. And you could even like if you time it right, he'll jump back and charge forward and punch you with this landmine equivalent of a shield. He has the next arm is the Deus Ex Machina, which I don't get why it's called that. It's just a landmine. It's like gameplay limitation. You can only stab it to the ground, but you could stab a person with it. Like, and then you have the Falcon Eyes, which is a missile arm. Like you launch missiles out of it. Then you do have the Flame Bird, which you talked about how cold that ice is. I don't know the temperature that ice would have to be to like freeze lava over whatever period.
Yeah, we also see in the Jabberwocky boss fight, the first game, the shield can be used to block the fire from the Jabberwocky.
Yeah, but the Flamberg does have an upgrade where it starts to shoot blue fire, which is significantly higher than the normal fire. It's like 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit compared to 1,800, so way hotter. Mm-hmm. He also has the Fulmus, which is electrical blasting arm that you get after you beat RoboCop, because you do beat RoboCop in the game.
You beat British RoboCop, yes.
Yes, because if you want to post, you can post that image later if you want. Which there is one of the bosses is like the corrupted watchman or something like that, off the top of my head, and his name is Murphy, and he's a robot cop.
I'm not gonna lie, reading the lore behind Murphy is actually kind of sad.
Oh, it is sad.
Yeah.
And then he's got I forget, like I'm trying to do a lot of this off the top of my head. He's got a tentacle arm, which he's able to shoot, which it doesn't shoot out tendrils, unfortunately.
Okay.
But it does shoot out it shoots out acid, and like it does the same corruption as like carcass blood, so it's shooting out like effectively zombie blood as acid. And it has lastly the arm that actually does something that's kind of cool. He has the puppet string, which is a grappling hook, and it can be used as a grappling hook swinging with building the building Spider-Man style. We do see other stalkers who have attachments very similar to it being able to do that. So the puppet being able to beat them and bench them in skill, most likely can do very the same.
And then we have the basic arm you start off.
And then he's got the left arm of steel, which does nothing, which really sucks. It just punches. Which
a big punch.
I did want to say, I forgot to send this image, but the puppet can punch with over 200 tons of force.
Yeah.
Because one of the very first things that you can do in the game, is while going up to the first boss fight of the Puppet Master, there's a very heavy iron gate. The puppet just pulls back his arm for like a second or two, and then just punches it, and it like bends this gate, which is several inches thick, and just 90-degree on both of the gates. And if you put that into like a calculation, it's about 200 tons to bend that much metal.
How much does that compare to like Alice's like king feat, where she smashes marble to pieces?
Well, I'm just talking about like base strength. Like, there are a lot of characters who struggle. Like, I can't lift 50 pounds, but I can shoot a blast that blows up a moon. You know, like so.
Yeah.
You can go next, I guess.
Okay, next is time for, and then now let's get into Alice's weapons, because there's a whole lot more. So I went over the hobby horse. I kind of want to bring up another variant of the hobby horse. Can you bring up Rattle 'em Boys?
Here we go.
So this is a kind of a upgraded version of the hobby horse that you can get as DLC. The canonicity is gray, blurry at best, but we do see some of the DLC weapons in the game. They basically this is basically just a stronger version of the Pale Rider, but it comes with the effect of every time you hit someone with it, it recovers a small portion of your health. Now can you bring up You Can't Handle Pepper?
Yeah.
Basically, in the second Alice game, you get a machine gun, but it's a pepper grinder. And fun fact, this pepper is so potent and is so strong. If you sneeze, it will literally blow your head off, because that's what happened to the Duchess in the first game. When you beat her as a boss, she some of the pepper from her thing right here gets all over her, and she sneezes and her head explodes. Can you bring up a Bless You, which is all of the upgraded versions of the pepper grinder? As you can see, they get more demonic the more it is. The DLC version of this one just turns it into a weird mollusk that shoots ink instead. But I didn't really get an image of that because it doesn't really matter. Can you bring up Boston Harbor? This one is basically a teapot that shoots grenades. Tea grenades, in fact. This comes from the Mad Hatter. It's basically you just shoot grenades, and the more you upgrade it, the bigger the blast radius gets. Can you bring up a big gun?
Yeah, I was going through all of them right now.
Yeah.
Both of these characters like have a decent size arsenal. I know the
Yeah.
puppet has 600 guns,
So-
weapons.
So the big gun is basically like the BFG of the first game, right? You have to look for, you have to find it. It's only in 2 spots in the game. Basically, this is basically just big ass screen to nuke the gun. So you basically fire it, and it basically does a massive explosion that does massive damage to all enemies. But can I get into the willpower thing archive for this?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, so for most of Alice's weapons from the first game, besides 2 of them, well, 1.5 of them actually, they use willpower, which is basically this energy that most of the weapons use. It can slowly recover over time, kind of like the magic in Kingdom Hearts. Whenever you run out, it just slowly recovers. But yeah, this gun uses up all of the willpower. But if you time it right somehow, you can get 2 shots of this screen nuke off. Can you now bring up 52 pickup? Now this is just a bunch of playing cards that Alice just like kind of holds out and fires. It's basically like an auto tracking gun, kind of. Its secondary fire basically just sends a homing a burst of these cards out. Not really much to do with that. Now, can you bring up 4? Yeah, I'm gonna go through all of the weapons, so bear with me for a minute. Sorry about this.
Well, I think we could just cover the weapons that you think are the most important as well.
Yeah.
You want to go fire?
Yeah, I will save 2 weapons for later. Basically, this is the croquet mallet. This is what I mean by 1.5 weapons that use willpower. This weapon's first attack doesn't use any willpower, but its secondary attack, which sends out an electrical charged ball, a croquet ball that bounces around the arena, shocking and killing enemies. Can you bring up Snake Eyes? No, what Snake Eyes? These are a pair. These are some dice that Alice can send out and roll, and whatever number it lands on will spawn a demon that's kind of an ally, kind of an enemy. Once all the enemies are away from killed, they will then attack Alice. If you roll like a certain number, you can get a lesser demon, which does wind, then fire, and then the greater demon, which does the first 2 plus lightning and electricity. And the last one I'm going to bring up for now is, can you bring up Jackson Balls? These are the best homing weapon in the first game. You basically throw Jackson and like Jackson balls at the enemy, and they just home in and can do continuous damage by bouncing around the enemy.
Yeah. I was gonna say, for a lot of her projectiles, the puppet, a big mechanic for Lies of P is being able to parry, and they're able to redirect a lot of attacks, like stuff that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to show an image, I think I can bring this up. It will also be a good segue into the next stat block.
Yeah.
Like one of the stat blocks discussions. Can you do lightning scaling?
Yeah.
There's 2 images of that.
Yeah. Now we can.
We're getting into stats now.
Yeah, I do still have a few more funny things, but yeah, let's go into stats.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there is like one more. She has like a time stopwatch, but we can discuss that in a little bit.
Yeah.
This is Laxatia. There is like the main bad guys of the game, led by a man named Simon Manus, who is an adaptation of the Sharkfish, like in Pinocchio. If you know the original Disney movie, it's Monstro, but it's just like in the original tale, it's just called the Great Sharkfish. No, it's like I think it's like dogfish or sharkfish, whatever. It doesn't matter. And she is able to control lightning. Like she's able to create a storm, lightning storm overhead, and it seems to be implied that she created the storm that completely surrounds the Alchemist Island to make it so you can't see it throughout the game, and that's why no one else can detect it. And all of that's implied. I don't believe it's ever stated anywhere. If I'm wrong, I don't know. But she's able to shoot lightning at you. And can you post a second image?
Go.
Okay, I have no clue what happened. My Wi-Fi just cut out for a split second.
Yeah, it's all right. You're still here. He's able to, and this breaks physics, people. This makes no sense.
Yeah.
She shoots lightning at you, and you are able to parry the lightning, and it reflects back at her.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How?
Wow.
How? Yeah, how is the question?
Is that a metal weapon he's using too?
Yes. So somehow he's able to parry electricity, which is not like it's lightning. It could be argued that she's channeling electricity through the cloud and then shooting electricity at you, but the cloud behind her is consistently striking lightning, so I believe these attacks are, by all intents and purposes, are just lightning strikes being shot at you.
Yeah.
And, like, lightning bolts aren't normal matter. Like, they're not even, like, they're a wavelength of energy, almost. Like, they're just random electrons that we don't fully...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're somehow able to physically parry it and knock it back at her.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You're also able, one of the bosses, which I don't have an image of this.
So that would be like,
it's-
at very minimum, from the top of my head, Mach 874.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would,
I do have stuff for Alice.
Well, I did want to say one of the earlier bosses, the Archbishop. He's able to charge up a giant like laser made out of like ergo, which is just random spirit energy bullshit, and he blasts at you and it nukes the entire arena. You're able to parry that and launch it back at him. So somehow the puppet cannot not just parry lightning and electricity. He's able to parry weird consciousness lasers. Like them.
a puppet parries energy, I think, is a better way to
Yeah,
say
it just
Puppet can defeat Black Adam.
yeah he
Yes, he defeats Black Adam. Black Adam.
And
I'm
I was
assuming
going
that
to
it's
say
because the puppet is also using ergo to like block it.
maybe like, but still, it's a metal weapon. It's
Yeah.
and he's a robot, so he's made out of metal. So
My suspension of disbelief isn't really that big, but maybe it's because I've been playing Ultra Kill, so I've been punching lasers. So
Yeah.
The puppet.
saying this breaks physics. It's just funny.
Yeah.
And
Every
I-
fictional
you can say,
character
like, this is
breaks
like mock.
physics.
Depending on how you look at it, like lightning is like there is the step ladder, but there's also the actual electricity that chases after the step ladder, and those are two drastically different speeds. So depending on how you want to view that. It's up
Oh
to
dang!
you.
I didn't even send that image. Oops.
But Laxasia, which is the lady shooting the lightning, after she sends a barrage of lightning bolts at you, she does like a dive kick at you, and which is extremely hard to parry. It sucks. And if you compare the speeds between the lightning bolts that she shoots at you and her own tandem movement, she's like 9 times the speed of lightning, and you're able to beat her. So the puppet's at like 9 times the speed of lightning, whichever speed you want to grant a lightning bolt. Roughly.
All right.
Yeah.
So the puppet's really fast.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have so Alice can dodge a lot of things in the first game, and in the second game she can parry a lot of things. In the first game we've seen her dodge point blank missiles coming from the finger of the Mad Hatter. We've seen her dodge lightning from the greater demon and another enemy. She's dodged gunfire. But her best speed feat is, can you bring up optical light beam?
There we go. There we are.
So this is the Jabberwocky, one of the final bosses of the first game. He has laser eyes, and you can dodge out of the way of his laser eyes as he is about to fire.
Now, question:
Mhm.
do these laser eyes follow the actual rules of the lasers? Like, do they move in a straight line?
Yes, they move in a straight line and they leave burn marks on the ground. Yes.
Okay. Well, I can't really tell because it's just an image. But I'll
Yeah,
buy you. I'll buy your word.
I had to grab this screenshot. I had to grab this screenshot from a video because trying to play the first game is such a struggle because it is an early PC game, and the movement is so ass. But like Alice has like a 30 to 40 foot vertical in the first game.
Wow. If you want to play a real action game, play Rido. Okay, I'm done.
Let's play Drakengard.
Yeah,
And
like
so can I bring this up real quick? So the plot of the first game is you need to get one of his eyes to break a big wall barrier to go into the Red Queen's part of the Wonderland. So can you bring up laser time?
There you go.
This is the Jabberwocky eye staff. If you can see that amber-like thing, that's the Jabberwocky's eye. Basically, she can hold out and shoot a massive Kamehameha type laser at the enemies, and it's somehow a lot bigger and wider than what the Jabberwocky can do. And after you are done firing the laser, then shoots a massive fireball at the end that explodes. Like after the laser is done and over with, it then shoots out a massive fireball to kill anything that's still standing. But its secondary function is it rips rocks out of the ground and sends them back down like meteorites.
the main thing though, like with the question of like, do you count it as a laser? Because lasers in video games are like, it's always weird.
Yeah.
And like, it's also like the speed of like what you consider a lightning bolt to be. Like the stepladder is way slower than the actual electricity you see. But like, so I don't think their speeds are that far off. Like if you're like, depending on how you view, especially since Black Sash is like 9 to 10 times faster than a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
So
the speeds are like about the same, if not Alice is like a little bit faster.
All right,
Yeah.
so speed should be equalish. Maybe give a little small edge to Alice.
Yeah.
So is that it for speed? Do you have any? Do any of you have any more to bring up? Or
I have a few other weird things to bring up for Alice. If
well,
that's okay,
I do have one thing speed wise for the puppet, but it's more of a like he's probably way faster than and this is just with the DLC and just logical progression of like your power level or whatever. Because in the DLC you get weapons that allows you to do a full blown Virgil combo. You know, like you're like this side of the screen, that side of the screen, there, in like a split second for all those slashes. And so logical progression is like I don't know how much upscaling you could give to the speed, but like he is significantly faster than what he was when he fought Lexatia, going off of the abilities that you get in the DLC.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Wait, wasn't that DLC in the past?
No, the DLC is in the past, but it's like you travel to the past because time travel is a thing. Because technically, whenever the puppet dies, because it is a Souls game, or Souls like whatever the hell.
I feel like we have to get
that when you die, a lady named Sophia rewinds time to throw you like to resurrect the puppet like at a certain point, like before they went through.
I feel like we should save that for a little bit later, like have a little hacks session, like a little hacks category.
What would be okay? What do you want to go over next? I guess.
I think we should go into like strength if you guys don't mind.
Okay, I'll go into my thing, and then because I'll also have to explain the thing for Alice.
Yeah,
he
did something that's for one of my arguments, but he can explain it better than I can.
I debated myself. Well, there's also I'm surprised you didn't bring up yet like Alice can grow and shrink.
Yeah. I was gonna bring that. I was gonna bring that up for hacks.
Yeah, we'll bring that up later. We have. It will go into Earthquake 1 and Earthquake 2.
Okay.
They're both effectively the same image. It's just showing like different perspectives.
Also, quick, Paul, if you're in the chat, do you have any questions? Go ahead, Hakeem. Go ahead.
Yeah. Also, someone said like they're like the puppet's probably better in melee, like probably, and now it's better at range, like possibly, like
yeah. They also said that the pepper grinder weapon can break through metal.
Yeah, but I like the metal that you use is not normal metal because you can block lasers and lightning and bury them back.
Yeah, like another thing with the I'll bring that up for like the basic strength.
Okay, so going into the Earthquake in Liza P, the final boss of the game, Simon Manus, he activates a device. I think it's just like it's like the Ergo collection thing, something like that. I don't remember if it has a specific name, and absorbs all of the Ergo throughout the entire city of Krot, originating off of the island of the Alchemists. The destruction that causes alone, just by pulling the Ergo out of the crowd supply underneath the city, causes the immense damage that you see in these images. Comparing to real life earthquakes and destruction, it was probably a magnitude 9 earthquake that hit the majority of Krot. And not just that, like the island of the Alchemists is like several kilometers out into the ocean, so it's a fairly large radius of a magnitude 9 earthquake. And a magnitude 9 earthquake, I don't think this is magnitude 9 because it's the depth of crowd actually goes a lot deeper than you would think if you want to show depths of Krot, which is like if you look at the images, then you would be right after Arms for Days.
Arms for Days, yes.
Yes, it's like right after that one. Is the depths of Krot.
Arms for Days.
Is that?
Yeah, it goes Arms for Days, Depths of Krot.
Is that a mechanical?
Oh, Depths of Krot. That one.
Clockwork
Yes.
scythe?
Gotcha now.
What's a mechanical one now?
Is that a mechanical clockwork scythe he has?
Yes, I would. Yes,
Nice.
This like it goes hundreds of meters underground, and all of these like glowing rock pillars that you see, like the machine that is pulling out the crowd, the Ergo, is also affecting those pillars, several hundred meters underneath the city. So like a magnitude 9 earthquake is like a low end of how much energy this thing is just inflicting onto the land of Krot, and then he takes all that energy and then absorbs it into himself to become a god, and the puppet kills him. And at the absolute bare minimum, like radius of like just that street that I showed, and just a magnitude 9 earthquake, you're already getting like 500 megatons of like energy as an absolute bare minimum. And I think it's more fair to compare bare minimum than like trying to calculate high ends, because that's way harder to do.
Mm-hmm.
But like, so he's probably, if you really want to stretch it, for maybe in like the gigaton range. If you really want to stretch up a bare minimum, like 500 megatons, and that's just absurd, and you're able to match that level of power.
Okay.
Any questions with that?
How many nukes would you say 500 megatons would be worth?
Well, like I think, like if we're going off of modern day arsenal, like I think 7. It's like either 2 or 7 megatons. So it's like if going off the idea of 2 megatons, that's 150 nukes. No, it's 250 nukes. My bad. So,
My gosh.
Nice.
Not bad for someone literally born today.
he was born
Yeah.
today.
So,
yeah. Up.
Okay. So I have a few things for. So this is this durability or strength, right?
This is AP/durability. I think.
Okay, so I have some smaller durability things just to talk about how fucked up Alice's backstory is. Before I get into the big thing, archive, I have a few smaller things. Can you bring up a burn? A burn image, please.
Here we go.
So this is from one of the memories you can get by in the second Alice game. This is immediately after the fire. Her epidermis was singed to the 3rd layer of skin, and the rest of her skin was as brittle as carp scales. And she was somehow able to recover from this. Another thing is I have this specific written down. The doctors every single day would poison her with hydrogen cyanide and strychnine just to get a reaction out of her because she was comatose. That's high poisons.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, like Victoria era medicine was not good, folks.
Yeah,
and like
it's also said multiple times that they would use shock therapy on her multiple different times, bloodletting, leeches, drilling into her head.
Yeah, lobotomies.
Oh
like,
my god!
I did not say this in my pitch video or like meeting or whatever you want to call it. But I forgot because I completely zoned out because I panicked about it a little bit. I was like, I feel like it should have been a joke. Like if they did analysis in Death Battle, it would be like, Boomstick would be like, well, at least you got to see a therapist right afterwards. Boomstick, do you not know what Victorian era medicine was like? No? Why? And it would cut to like a cutaway. It would cut to like, we'll be right back. Like after like technical difficulties, but it says like Boomstick learns about Victorian mental asylums, and it comes back and he's just like,
oh fuck, that
like,
needs to be
he's like,
I feel like you should be closely or like know well enough what Victorian medicine is like due to what his leg is like.
Yeah,
and he did that to himself. Yeah. Remember, that's the lore Boomstick.
Another thing is that throughout the entire like 10-12 years she was in that coma, she had a constant like death fever. Like she should have died during those 12 years because she had a very bad fever. And she just was alive, still kicking, willpower of God. But now we can bring up. Can you bring up Flesh Nuke now?
I'm sorry. What?
I'm the one who calculated this, so this is going to be fun to explain a bit. I did this.
Yeah, go ahead and explain this because I can't.
So, the issue is Alice. This is just an issue in a lot of fiction. She kills the Red Queen, whose body goes throughout all of Wonderland in the first game. But like, she doesn't fight the whole Red Queen. She like fights like just the heart of the Red Queen, and she blows that up. Like, say like in God of War when Kratos fought Kronos, like if he beat him by just stabbing him in the heart, you would not scale like Kratos to the full feat of, Kronos's mass, right? That's just logic. So it's like, but the question is like, okay, how strong does a heart have to be to even power a creature that is the size that would be the Red Queen. So going off of the original Alice stories explaining like how big like the checker patterns are like in the world, because those do appear in the original stories, like, and each one's like the size of a town, and then you compare that to the official game art of how big Wonderland is
In the first game, yeah.
Yeah, you can determine kind of the ballpark of how like long like the general area that the Red Queen takes up, and it's almost the size of England, not like Scotland, just England, which kind of makes sense because Alice
You're
is from England.
Like just like the UK is made up of Scotland, Wales, and England. Just the England part.
Yeah. So, and if a human was scaled to the size that she takes up, and their heart scaled in proportion, her heart beating like the PSI of her heart beating just once would be close to 3 megatons of energy, based off the PSI that we know of a megaton nuke. So, what? So, every single time it has a heartbeat is basically a nuclear bomb exploding.
And in the background of said fight, you can hear the heartbeat beating.
Yeah.
That,
And like this is a very low end for the heart, but
yeah,
like
this
again,
is like a very low end.
That's the low end?
Yeah.
Well, this is because that's the size of the fucking heart. Like, if a creature was the size of England, it was pumping blood throughout itself. The force of its heart beating alone would require, like, the energy of a nuke exploding.
And that's every beat of the heart. And you
And
are
this is
literally,
low.
and you are
It's just-
inside said heart chamber fighting the heart
Yes,
of the Red Queen.
okay, if we summarize that in general, the heart beats 100,000 times a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, well, you only fight her like the boss fight's probably like I don't know 2-3 minutes maybe. I don't know.
It's like 5 because of how
Maybe.
bad the damage is late game of that. But yeah.
But yeah, so you could like multiply like heartbeat times 5 minutes, and like that's what you'd scale Alice to as a very low end. You could definitely like increase that heartbeat by like a factor of 10 or 100 and still be within reasonable estimates of how powerful that heart would have to be to pump a creature of
That
that
amount of blood, yeah. And
Okay,
like
70 beats per minute times 5 minutes is 350 beats. If we just like, what's
3
the,
megatons.
like just put the 2.8 to just 3 megatons, it would be 1,350 megatons.
Yeah, that's
Jesus.
gigatons. Right? Like I said, like you can get the puppet up there as well. Like and these are both low ends for both characters.
Yeah. and the thing is, this is Alice when she's about like 18 years old.
I am baffled.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know how else you would calculate. Like, if I just stab the giant's heart, like that heart has to be able to withstand itself beating.
Yeah.
Like, I bet you could recalculate this in a different way, where it's like, okay, how many gallons of blood is it actually moving? And you could like, okay, what would be the speed of that blood? And you could like use that as kinetic energy calculator to determine the strength of the heart. But like, ultimately, I'm just saying it's going to be hundreds, if not thousands of megatons of that.
You want to
heart.
know the funny thing? When me and Archive were talking about this, like when we were like discussing his pitch and whatnot, we thought we could scale Alice to the infernal engine of the second game, which as that train is moving, it literally causes earthquakes in Wonderland.
Okay,
but
I don't think
we couldn't scale it properly.
Well, the reason why is like because that's the actual doctor in the real world fucking with Alice's mind, and like so that's more of a hacks thing than like AP or anything, So I don't think that's applicable. But in the first game, you can definitely scale to actual combat that you
Yeah,
face.
and like we see in the second game that the Red Queen was able, like, just her rotting, like, in her very weakened state after the first game, was able to support all of Queensland, like almost half of Wonderland with her own flesh.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, like, yep. I don't know how else anyone else would try to calculate how strong this heart is. This is just how I did it.
Yeah.
And it's insane.
Yeah. And like I also I should bring this up. The hobby horse weapon is specifically used to break enemies' defenses. Like it's like it's like a very strong weapon. It's like your standard, like, oh yes, you have a light attack, heavy attack, all that. The hobby horse is specifically used to break enemies' defenses.
Yeah. Okay, so any questions there? It's absurd, but that's kind of the point of a creature this size.
Yeah. I think they're all baffled.
Yeah, kind of.
Would it be possible to do some chain scaling with the Red Queen as she was able to hold off the train a while?
Well, again, like the train is affecting Alice in the real world, which does significantly more damage to Wonderland.
Yeah,
like that's the
basically.
issue.
So I can go into the story a little bit of the second game, which ties to the first game. Basically, her therapist, I'm just gonna call him Bumby, basically, was attracted to Alice's older sister.
Trigger
I know
warning.
where this is going. I've seen it.
Trigger warning.
No, oh gosh. Oh
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, let's just say bad things happened. Killed her sister and burned the house down to hide the evidence. And when Alice survived, he kind of was going to erase the memories by manipulating her Wonderland.
Yeah.
Victorian medicine.
Victorian medicine.
It's very bad. It's very dark. If I were to actually say word for word what happened, I would not be allowed back on here.
The quote Sam during like the pitch meeting, the amount of shit they were able to get away with in that game.
Yeah.
You would never have a studio do
yeah, you couldn't. You
thing.
could not make this game unless you're an indie studio. You could.
It's a berserk levels of holy crap.
Yeah,
It's like-
it is. Yeah, it's like berserk light levels of holy shit.
Yeah. By the way, I would say like a cool connection between Pinocchio and Alice, like these versions of it, is Geppetto is a fucking monster in the world of Liza P. He kills everyone in Crot.
Yeah.
Like, and it showed there are like multiple. There's 3 endings to the game, and one of those endings where you go like, "Hey, Geppetto, I want you to be my daddy." He turns everyone who's still alive in Crot into puppets, and in the game of American McGee's Alice, Madness Returns, that doctor, that psychiatrist,
Dr. Bumby,
it also turns people into puppets, but like
in a bad sense, if you get what I'm saying.
yeah. So they have a weird connection in the idea of like, oh, these people who are supposed to be high respected members of their societies are both terrible people.
I thought versus P versus Alice, not Geppetto versus whoever this therapist is.
Oh, it's yeah. So
And it is, depending on the ending, they both bite it hard.
like yeah. Well, Geppetto at the very end, like if you go with the good ending, he's like, he looks at like Pinocchio, or as he's turning into a quote unquote real boy. Like you become a human at the end of the Liza P. I don't like, at least like
standard Pinocchio
in terms of your soul or whatever. And he looks at you, he smiles like, "Oh, you are a real boy. I guess I didn't have to kill everyone and cry." Like he doesn't say that, but he was like, it's just like, but he almost like you try to. He almost has a sympathetic death, but like if you think about
there was
wait,
no
this
sympathy for
this
that
guy
man.
killed millions.
There was no sympathy for that man. He ain't getting no sympathy for me.
Okay, what's funny is that Alice deals with the doctor by just shoving him and then he gets hit by a train.
Yeah, oh yeah, Alice like rips the key that he was somehow using to hypnotize people, which was Alice's sister's bedroom key. He rips it from her neck and pushes him onto an oncoming train.
Yeah, which probably killed like a few hundred people, knowing how train accidents tend to go. But
And revenge.
we're
Uh,
good.
I don't think about it.
Yeah.
What do you want to cover next?
I kind of have like let's go with hacks for now.
Oh.
Before we do hacks, can you bring up Mary Poppins for me real quick?
I'm Mary Poppins, yo.
Yeah. So fun fact. This umbrella was meant to be like the glide that Alice does, but because of the Mary Poppins connection, they decided to just give her that ability to just glide like Princess Peach. So this, so this parasol, it's used as a counter, kind of. It's specifically used to counter ranged attacks, like return to sender them. If you try to use it to parry physical attacks, it will parry said attack, but it will leave Alice open.
They both have umbrellas that they could counter parry off of.
Yeah. Parries the missile, sends it back.
He parries it back at her. Like, what?
It then becomes just a game of deadly tennis.
That has to, like if this was an animation or a death bow, like that would have to happen at least once.
Yeah. Now let's go. Now let's go into hacks. But before that, can you bring up float? Because this is just an ability Alice naturally has in the second game.
And a guy did say in the like in the live chat, like, "Oh, the train didn't derail." I know it didn't. That's funny.
Yeah. So this is Alice can do the Princess Peach thing of floating, and she has. So if we take Alice's jump height from the first game, which is like 40, like exaggerating a little bit, like 40, 30 feet, and just give her the float ability, she can just become the best basketball player ever. Because in the second game, you have like 6 jumps that you can lead into these floats. That's just something funny. Like Alice could literally be balling. Okay, now we can go into hacks. You want to start?
All right, hacks time. Woo!
I can start a little bit. The puppet honestly doesn't have a lot of hacks. Like
Alice does, which is why I want you to go first.
Like he can come back to life by rewinding time, and here's the thing: in the game of Liza P, like he can all like you would just like depending on where you want to have this fight, like if we're fighting in the side of Pinocchio's Wonderland as Alice projects her mind into it, she would be able to resurrect there, but he wouldn't, in theory, because I don't think he can come back to life if his psyche's destroyed.
Yeah.
At least, like, I don't see any reason why he would be able to come back if his psyche was destroyed. But if they fought in reality and she's trying to manifest Wonderland in reality, she wouldn't be able to resurrect herself, but he would. So I think you can just equate that both of them can come back across either scenario, just to make it fair.
Yeah, because like in Alice, actually, I'll get into this whenever we get into Alice's hacks. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. And I was going to say, and there's a weirdly, oddly specific counter that she has to him coming back to life via time travel. Because no one else in the game recognizes that the puppet is coming back to life via time travel. That's just except one specific person, and that is the Mad Donkey, and that is because he's insane.
Yeah,
Alice is without question insane.
Alice is without question insane.
Oh.
Okay.
Because when you die to the Mad Donkey and you come back, he will basically like wait, didn't I just kill you?
Yeah. But no one else in the entire game does that. No one else acknowledges it.
No one else is insane enough.
Yeah.
That's why he had to be killed early. It would ruin the twist.
Yeah.
So wait, if Alice can recognize the fact that he keeps coming back, does she have a means of like stopping him from coming back?
Well, we talked about like if she is able to fuck up his Wonderland in his mind enough, like that would destroy his psyche, and therefore he can't come back to life.
Yeah, because that's something that I am going to bring up when we get to Alice's hacks. because
Yeah.
again, I'm drawing a little bit from the third game's official pitch Bible, just a tiny bit.
The only other hacks I would like to make a note of is that the puppet does have access to the petrification disease, but which can like solidify your memories. So if he's able to be granted access to all the stuff he would in reality inside his mind, which I just think is fair, he could give her the petrification disease because you carry around canisters of that shit on you. You just use it as a throwable.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the petrification disease would be deadly if it infected Alice, probably.
So I kind of have a discussion on that when we get to Alice's hacks.
Yeah, but that's all for the puppet's hacks. He doesn't really have
Okay,
to.
so let's get to Alice's hacks, which is a wide page, a wide list. Who just DM'd me?
A question would be like he has like special gears that allow him to have special abilities. Like he can overclock his like perception to be able to perfect parry everything for a short period of time, which I don't know if that counts as hacks or just another ability. I don't know.
Yeah. Can you bring up eat? Eat the eat image. So this is the eat me cake. It's a standard Alice thing. It's been in the books. It's been in basically every form of Alice media. Alice can eat a piece of this cake and grow to like 30, 40 feet tall. And we've seen her like destroy massive towers with this, clear waves of enemies just by swiping her hand. And she can go back to her average size while in this cake with. Can you bring up slurp juice, please? So this is the drink me vial. So in the second game, Alice like bathes herself in this stuff, and she just now has the natural ability to shrink herself to the size of a mouse or an ant. So if Alice eats the eat me cake, she can use her shrinking ability to go back to her average size.
She doesn't go that small. It's more like the size of like a doll because she's like goes up to like her calf.
I mean, it goes to about like able to fit into like a.
It's a large keyhole.
Yeah, a large keyhole. Yeah.
It's like completely large.
Like when she is in this shrunken state, she has access to shrink vision, which gives her access to hidden messages all over the place that can give her like hints as to where to go. And I forgot to get an image of this guy because I couldn't find a good one, but she also kind of has access to the Cheshire Cat, which is described as her familiar or an aspect of herself. Which the Cheshire Cat in Alice gives her very cryptic, sarcastic hints. And he appears everywhere. Even when you're stumped, you can just a button prompt will appear and he can give you a hint on what you need to be doing. But another can you bring up look at yourself?
Look at yourself. Here we go.
So this is the looking glass mirror. Basically, Alice has this mirror, and she can look at herself in it and can turn 100% completely invisible. And when she is invisible, she can still attack.
Yeah, I have a counter to this. I don't have an image with this exactly, but I have a description like this is kind of like a fun thing for all of it. One, can you show for the cake thing? Can you post Guardian size? It's one of the more recent images. I don't know if we're able to throw it up.
I got that one.
Yeah. This is one of the final bosses of the game. Kind of sucks, like from gameplay perspective, but it can't all be hits. So he's able to fight thing, and like going off of the mass of this thing, comparing it to the size of Alice, this thing's probably heavier than Alice, and like about the same height. like probably a little bit shorter, but way thicker. So the size that Alice can grow to is not that big of a deal. You know, just more choreography.
It somehow looks bigger in game than what when you actually measure it out as to what it looks to be, which is kind of sad. Which you could get higher if you somehow scale her to like the towers she destroys.
Maybe. But if you compare to the things she steps on, she's like maybe 30, 40 feet, which this thing's probably about that same size. And I have a counter. I have a counter for her growing small. Can you post what the bleep? Holy crap! What is that?
What the crap? What is that?
Because the puppet, because he's able to combat things that are pretty small. Because he's able to fight these things.
God, what the fuck is that? Wait, let me.
What is that?
Wait,
it's a baby puppet, and they're the worst statue in the game.
Oh, baby!
Okay. Who is the monster that created this, and where are they? They're about to lose their kneecap privileges.
I'm assuming why a lot of them look horrifying is like during like the puppet frenzy, a lot of them got halfway melted. But like these things suck. I hate them. I hate them in the game deeply.
I hate them deeply.
If I recall, Geppetto was the one responsible for making most of the puppets, so.
Okay, I am sending you one more image that I forgot to get real quick.
And I do have a counter to the whole like turning invisible. There are things in Lies of P called dimensional butterflies, which they are invisible to like everyone except people with a monode lamp, which is where you host your little speaking hinting buddy named Gemini, and he's able to sense and reveal dimensional butterflies who are otherwise invisible.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's ever a reason like it doesn't say they're in a higher dimensional plane. I think it's just like they're plainly invisible. They get revealed when within it. So I think that's an easy enough like one-to-one comparison that she would not be able to be invisible around that lamp.
Yeah. Table, I just sent you an image that I forgot to send to you.
Let me grab that.
Sorry if there's a lot of stuff to cover. This
is one of the bigger casts. This image is going to be one of my ladder hacks. Can you bring
I just
up...
found that so terrifying. It's just the worst thing.
Yeah. Can you bring up Zawaudo? Yeah, so this is the Dead Time Watch. You get it after defeating the Mad Hatter. Basically, this watch can stop time for 15 to 20 seconds. Like, completely frozen stops time and Alice is still moving. And she can still attack people while things are frozen in time. And yeah, that's Zawaudo.
Yeah, the thing would be like if Sophia's ability to control time could be able to counter that potentially, like, but that's a big maybe.
Yeah,
that's up to people's interpretations.
Now I've never seen like Sophia pull off anything other than reversing time, so
which is still a very powerful shenanigan. So
now I still have more. Let me scroll through the images real quick.
Well, I'm going to ask like what other people want to hear about because we've been going. There's already been a shitload we've covered. So
yeah, I'm just gonna bring up like the bigger thing. She has 2 rage forms. In the first game, there's this thing called the Rage Box that it's like a perfume spray. It brings out her inner rage from a family dying and turns her into a demon, which makes her invincible. No weapons use willpower. Multiplies her strength. But the one that I'm going to bring up, can you bring up Crash Out?
There we go.
I just have one. So this is Hysteria mode. Basically, this is when Alice's sanity is at an all-time low. She basically becomes crazy. And this mode makes her completely invincible. Increases her strength. by a massive amount, and all of her weapons don't overheat at all. And this form also turns your vision black and basically grayscale, besides blood. This is just a fun image. Can you bring up blood real quick?
Yes.
Oh shit, I forgot about that, Hacks. So this is what all of the weapons look like when you're in hysteria mode. It's very crazy. Now, can you bring up butterfly effect real quick? This is my second to last Hacks image. So, this is something for two things. This is Alice dodging. She can puff up into smoke and butterflies to dodge, and she can do this a bunch of times. And this also happens whenever she dies. She will puff up into butterflies and smoke and then reform herself. And lastly, the last one that I have for right now is, can you bring up Lucky Foot, the image that I just sent you?
There we go.
So the dresses Alice wears in the second game can give her different unique abilities to each dress. Some dresses have one dress has, you can activate hysteria whenever you want. Another one does Shriek Sense is always active, but this one specifically is made out of shrinking violets, which are these tiny purple flowers that you can go into that can heal you when you're in shrink mode. This outfit that Alice wears can constantly replenish her health because it's made out of the shrinking violets.
The puppet does have passive healing as well through various items. He also has, your generic healing items that.
Yeah.
So,
the only other the only other hack thing that I could have that I don't have an image for because I just thought of this right now is when you get to the end of the game and you realize that Bumby is the watchmaker, he turns Alice into a doll, like full on doll, like dollification, drops her down a chute into a pile of other dolls, and Alice, through I don't know if it's madness or willpower, just becomes regular again, becomes human again from doll. And this is one that I kind of want to bring up just because it's kind of interesting. Can you bring up Lunderland?
Here we go.
So after you push Bumby after Bumby accidentally dies from a train accident, Alice kind of merges London and Wonderland together into this. It's not really explained why.
I think she's just crazy.
Okay, yeah.
I think that's just her coping mechanism. Okay.
Yeah. And
the world of Alice is not nice, so I think that's just cope.
Yeah.
And one hack thing that I want to bring up, just because it was in the Bible, the Pitch Bible, but y'all can just waver this, but it's just something that could happen. Since Alice can enter minds, and we see in the first anime short that she can actually influence said minds. In the third Alice game, the final boss is going to be her lawyer, who was actually helping Bumby do these awful things. She was going to go into his mind, into his Wonderland, and absolutely destroy the shit out of his Wonderland self, to the point where he becomes brain dead and insane, and he goes into the asylum that Alice was from.
You said it was for a pitch, right?
What?
It was for a pitch, right? That wasn't made into actual canon.
So it basically I'm just using it to help give more evidence to stuff that happens in canon material. since this is from the actual creator, American McGee.
Okay. I will note that, but it seems a little bit questionable to me.
I mean, we see it happen in the first anime short, as Other Lands, where she is able to change how things look and act in Wonderland, in someone else's other land. And that is all of the hacks that I have. She, of course, some of her outfits and weapons do things like damage decrease or all that, but there's also one outfit that basically says, oh yes, you don't take damage to your health. Instead, you lose teeth. This is just a fun thing. The currency you use to upgrade weapons and buy things in Alice, in the second Alice game, is the teeth of the enemies you kill. Sorry,
I've heard of weirder currencies.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. Because baby teeth.
Yeah.
Hey, the puppet's currency technically is the solidified memories of the dead. So,
yeah, she's just collecting baby teeth, like the puppet's teeth. He's a baby.
Uses the hobby horse to knock out some of the puppet's teeth, and she just picks it and she just picks them up.
This is the weirdest mugging I've ever seen.
Would the teeth count though? Because they are not real human teeth.
Like Geppetto is a twisted enough motherfucker in the game. He probably used human teeth. We just don't know.
Yeah, and you can get human teeth from non-human enemies or non-flesh enemies.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I think that's everything that I have. Let me scroll through.
Yeah, I don't really have I'm the puppet the puppet's only got the one game, so there's not too much to go into. There's a lot to go into, but
yeah. Well, that's everything I got.
Okay.
Should we move on to final arguments then?
Final arguments, I guess.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. You want to go first? You want to go first, Archive?
I have a joke in my brain, but I'm not sure if I should say it.
Well, you can't bring it up and then not go through with it.
I was gonna say, according to the internet, with these two, they're shipped together.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can see that.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Magneto and Shigaraki situation with the ages.
A lot of Alice's abilities comes from her outfits. So all he has to do is woo her, and she loses a good hunk of her arsenal.
No.
Banned.
This reminds me of that one.
I'm just saying what the internet's argument is.
Puppet automatically loses.
Okay.
Alice
Just
loses
mad-
to Issei from High School DxD.
Oh my god.
This matchup is the
That
best
is-
ship.
That is the internet. That's not me.
Cursed.
But the puppet, I think, because if this fight takes place in reality, and if we take the literal, she manifests Wonderland in reality, the puppet can come back to life, she cannot, and he probably has better, they probably have equal mobility because he can Spider-Man around, she can jump 50,000 times. But I think if he's able to get in close, his just general better skill will allow him to beat her in melee combat. And if they fight inside of his mind, the fact that he can just absorb people's consciousness, because that's just what ergo is, and when you defeat someone, he absorbs their ergo. As she sends her astral projections into his mind, he could beat her, and then she would lose her abilities progressively, since her mind would no longer be able to be fully up to snuff to be able to do that eventually.
Oh god, your argument is that she becomes brain dead.
Well, I don't think it would cause her brain dead. I think she would lose her abilities, and then they just stop fighting, and technically, because she can no longer continue the fight, that would count as a win for him.
I think Alice's superior speed, hacks, and just the fact that that EA fucked her over without giving her the third game because EA sucks. And also the fact about the flesh nuke.
Hey, okay, how about this? I have a counter argument for that. I'm the one who did the math. I'm going to say that math doesn't count. How's that?
Oh no. He set you up, Rand.
Oh no!
Compare my own calc invalid.
I'm going to invalidate my own calculation.
Joke's on you. That was a fake calc. The real calc is behind this wall.
No, real calc is an auto greed.
I honestly think that it's very weird that for whatever reason these two actually are pretty dang close stats wise.
Yeah, this is like it just comes down to hacks kind of.
Yeah.
Which,
Like speed is almost relatively even, or Alice just gets like a slight edge. Striking power or just like physical
AP slash
combat.
raised.
Don't worry, Liza P2 will come out and the puppet will be multiversal.
Honestly, I think the next name is gonna be the Wizard of Oz, which,
Yeah.
funny enough, American
Oz
McGee,
gets weird in the books.
funny enough, American McGee was working on his own version of Oz, but that game got canceled because again, EA hates fun.
Ugh.
Also, another fun thing, EA didn't pick up Alice Asylum, which was the third game, which is going to be a prequel to the first Alice game, which will follow Alice going through the 7 stages of grief of her family dying.
I'm pretty sure Neo Wiz is probably going to do a lot of literary characters, and they're probably going to have Alice as well.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So, Neo Wiz is the studio that made Liza P.
Yeah. Can someone who knows how to do the poll for chat?
Yeah, all right, I guess we should go into verdicts now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start with Zoro. Zoro, what do you think? Who's taking this fight?
Okay, so this is a very debatable matchup. Like, when it comes down to pure skill, it could go either way. So, just looking at the hacks, and I'm just taking everything at like face value, I am leaning towards the puppet, just because Alice's hacks, or at least the ones that would, change the tide of battle, are a lot more reliant on like very dubious information of like the pitch Bible and whatnot. And I just think that, the ergo thing of like being able to just immediately shut down like Alice's memories and main source of power, I feel like that's a stronger win con than, being able to manipulate manipulation powers that aren't displayed too well. So I'm gonna cast my vote for Mr. Puppet.
All right, I guess I'll go next.
Oh, Table, you need to put up the poll for YouTube chat.
Yeah. Table,
We
go
won't have
ahead.
a tiebreaker without it.
Okay.
Pull up the poll table.
One thing I will say is that I didn't look specifically at the art book for Alice Other Worlds because I couldn't find a copy of it that I could download. And from the wikis, it gives information and clarifies things that happen in the two shorts, but I couldn't find the art book to download it.
That's unfortunate.
Unfortunate.
I'm sorry that this podcast went. We kind of started like an extra hour earlier just to chat with one another, so that's why it's like an hour and a half cast.
Because from the wiki it says that Alice's weird horseshoe necklace can do stuff, and we see it do stuff. But I wanted to find the actual quote so I could use it in the argument, but I couldn't because I couldn't find the art book.
Yeah. Unfortunate, but what can you do about it?
Yeah.
C'est la vie, such is life.
I guess, Berserker, do you want to go next with your verdict? Or...
Sure.
Okay.
Honestly, I'll have to give it to Alice. The biggest concern for me is that Alice's ranged weapons definitely have a lot more variety, but Liza P is an RPG, so he has a lot more weapons. And with the fact that he can turn back time, it's going to be a little harder for like Alice to just prolong the fight over and over. But the problem here is that all of P's hacks don't really matter much, since I feel like Alice can edge out in terms of stats, albeit with dubious scaling. But even then, the idea of like the ergo like shutting down her memories, I don't think will be that effective, considering there were like a bunch of games that involved just trying to like shut down her mind, and she was able to actively fight against it till the very end until she eventually remembered everything. So, and not to mention the willpower to just turn back from a puppet back into a human kind of implies that she can't just be shut down so easily, even if she's somehow like killed and absorbed. I think that's just gonna more or less effectively make Alice just fight on inside P's head, where he will not be able to like resurrect.
I thought you were saying he can't riz. Like,
Yeah.
Do we even hear the puppet speak? The puppet speak in
he
game?
does talk. We don't know what he sounds like, but he can talk.
We don't know what he sounds like. He could sound like Billy Bob from down the street, who's illiterate. Or he could sound like an absolute god of rizzing. Like I was gonna say Zeus, but that's a bad. Bad.
Yeah, so I think like in terms of like a long battle, I think the puppet will win, but in case of the killing blow, I think Alice will be able to take it.
All right.
It's just gonna be a long battle of attrition.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I will note that Paul, who's still in the chat, has casted his vote for Geppetto's puppet.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, are you done, Berserker?
Yep.
Okay. Just making sure. Now it's time for my verdict. After hearing everything on both sides, this fight seems like it would be a really close one. But I think at the end of the day, I will have to give it to the puppet. I think that the puppet's win condition sounds a little more convincing to me than Alice's. I think Alice's relies a lot more on stuff that could be dubious and questionable. I think that the puppets is way more straightforward, with just causing Alice to just not think anymore.
Again, brain dead.
Yeah. But aside from that, I think that the puppet could potentially be very hard to put down, even if we say that Alice could figure it out. I'm not sure how she would be able to counter it. I haven't heard any good like time negation hacks from her or anything like that. Supposedly the mind stuff would work, but again, it's a little dubious on if that stuff would count, at least in my opinion. And I do think that the puppet should be at least a little bit stronger. So I do think I would have to give it to the puppet. But it is a close fight, I will admit.
Yeah.
And if we did like an in-depth look at this fight, maybe we'll find something for Alice that completely changes everything. But I don't know. For now, at least, I'll give it to the puppet.
Yeah. Like, I'm convinced that if we had access to the art book, we probably would find something that would help Alice in her favor.
Because like on the Alice wiki, it says that her like horseshoe necklace thing in the second animated short has the power to cause earthquakes.
Damn.
And yeah. Also, I didn't bring this up because I forgot about it, but when the orderlies, which are based off of Tweedledee and Tweedledum, were being mean to Alice, she woke from her coma, grabbed a spoon, and literally tried to kill one of them. And then she yes. Like she tried to use, like she tried to use the spoon on herself.
Oh.
Yeah, she almost killed the guy with a spoon by stabbing him.
There was also one thing I didn't even bring up in part of the discussion was like I did want to talk a little bit like I guess I didn't want to talk too much about it, but like one of the main upgrade parts of Lesbian is just an RPG thing. I don't know if it fully counts as well. It's called the P organ, and it's just the worst translation because it's just supposed to be Puppet organ, but P organ.
The P organ.
P organ, yeah, that's an
Organ.
unfortunate name, by the way.
Oh, the
Yeah.
bladder.
Why are there so many dubious stuff in this cast? My gosh.
Yeah.
Like, the internet was like the one that said that these two were shipped together. I just
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't think my vote is going to actually change anything, but just give my thing here. Honestly, I was kind of just leaning towards Alice just because of the flush nuke. But yeah, between that and I think she has just a bit more hacks and a bit more variety, I kind of want to lean towards her, despite P being my boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah.
Both characters need some further research, in
Yeah.
my opinion, to come
Yeah.
to a really
And,
conclusive result. But
Yeah.
Pinocchio from Lesbi. I think I'm like the first guy who's like, I'm gonna try to scale this motherfucker. Oh.
I think it's
And I'm
time
like-
to
In the poll.
end the YouTube
Yeah.
poll.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got our votes in, and I think it might honestly just be based on one vote. P manages to eke out the victory.
Let's
Yep.
go.
Yep.
yippee!
Congratulations, P.
It's
And also happy birthday.
Yes, P, congratulations! It's your
Happy
birthday.
Yeah, he's only 1 day old. It just I find it so like obviously that's not like he has the memories of Carlos, so he's probably like mentally like way like he's like probably like
Don't-
late 20s maybe or whatever the fuck. But it's just funny. He's like he woke up, killed a god within 24 hours.
Yeah.
Typical
Bro just
RPG.
decided to
experience.
speed run life.
Here, I'll get this fixed. He is 30 years old, according to Timothy Chalamet's Wikipedia.
That's funny.
I'm like yeah, I
I
29.
think it's 30?
29.
fucking- yeah, Timothy Chalamet. I find
Oh,
I like-
one of the YouTube chatters say that they have the entire narrative outline for Alice Asylum downloaded.
Oh, damn.
And like I will say, like because EA canceled Alice Asylum, the fans are making the game themselves.
yeah, so
Mhm.
That rocks.
but yeah, I find but the Pinocchio, the whole like the whole like the big AP thing is like the dude used the machine to pull energy out of the earth and for several kilometers and like a giant and omnidirectional several kilometers, hundreds of meters under the ground, shifting however many millions of tons of earth, and he absorbed all that energy into himself, and you duel that motherfucker.
Okay.
It's like
Also, there will be another cast tomorrow. Thank you, Paul, for reminding me. I will be debating again. Tomorrow, I will be debating for Cortex from the Crash Bandicoot series, and Paul in the chat will be debating for Spectre from Ape Escape.
Yep.
I'm
Well,
on a.
that's-
I am.
That
I
sounds
am.
fun.
I am on a 2-loss streak right now. Both of my both casts that my first and my second cast I've ever been a part of, I've gotten so close to winning, which is kind of funny.
Unfortunate. Hopefully you have better luck tomorrow, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Yeah.
you'll win tomorrow. Yeah.
I hope you guys had fun with this one. Like,
This has been fun.
Oh yeah,
This
I've
was
been
this was
invested in
fun.
this
This
cast.
was fun indeed.
I find the flush nuke reaction. Everyone just like,
What the
What?
fuck? Yeah.
I was
Flush
stunned.
nuke
I
is
couldn't
just-
I
even
was a
speak.
lot bonkers than I thought, but damn, that was fun.
The
yeah, they have a shitload of stuff in both of them. This cover.
yeah, like
Yeah,
Alice-
that is going to be a lot of fun.
Mhm. Like like we know like one of the enemies in the first Alice game is called I think the Boon Joys or whatever, but they scream loud enough to create hypersonic shock waves, and Alice can move out of the way of them and even block them with the ice shield.
You're able to, but yeah, like you're the Watchman, the RoboCop reference, like
Yeah.
he's able to like have electrical pulses, which going off of Tesla coil guns that we've seen, that's like Mach 1.5 to Mach 2 already fairly early on in the game. So like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I didn't bring this up, but Alice can jump even higher with the grasshopper potion. I didn't get a picture of it because I didn't think it changed anything in the cast.
well, like the only mobility, like she probably has way more mobility than the puppet. Like the only counter that I would have for her jumping is because of the puppet string can allow him to Spider-Man around the place. Like that's
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
you know.
So yeah.
It'll go
I hope you
Shadow
guys
the
have fun.
Colossus with like if Alice goes giant.
Paul,
Yeah.
you can't go 4-0. Paul, I think every single character that I'm going to argue for, besides maybe Quark, is going to lose. I think I'm gonna be the definition of underdog of fan cast.
Yeah, I'm currently 1-2 now, so
I have
Well,
a perfect win streak right now on the fan cast.
Yeah, but
Like, imagine I'm the one that brings down Saul's win streak when we do Quark Zap.
yeah, but it's
I
just
could have
amazing.
beat him
No, I
if
don't
I
think very
hadn't
well.
said no to the stitch scaling for the last one.
I could have beat him if he didn't defeat me.
No, Paul, I will win. I'm gonna try my damnedest to win.
Good
I
luck.
thought
Alright.
it-
We're
I like-
officially at the 2.5 hour mark here.
Yeah, I'm
so-
sorry that it went
Yeah.
on for a
No
while.
problem.
We
Nah.
should probably end this.
Yeah,
Well,
I
hope everyone
am
has fun.
hungry.
yeah. It seems like
Yeah.
a good
Well,
spot to
yeah,
end.
Thank y'all for
Be
watching.
sure to watch tomorrow's cast. Thank y'all for watching. This has been fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Bye bye,
Thank y'all for
everybody.
watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There's this.
And
Are we
there
done?
go. Yep.
Yeah.
So I like